Welcome back to WTLL 11 Your Day, and Wednesday means it's time for Amanda and Diane's Knit Along. Now, Diane may be off this week. She is at a conference, but she has a very interesting knit-related story coming up in just a moment, so hang tight for that. But first, when we ask you to send us what you're working on, we never know what we're going to get back. Check this out. For your Star Wars fans, Heather Price knit a hat for her husband. From the pictures, not sure if that's a good thing for him, but who doesn't love a Baby Yoda hat? And Heather knit this freehand, no pattern. Boy, that takes talent. That is very, very cool. Now, we told you last week about Worldwide Knit in Public Day, which was this past Saturday, and we caught up with some knitters at Behind the Pines Yarn in Pemberville. Now, the group of ladies worked on their projects in public to raise awareness about the benefits of knitting. Well, it helps relieve stress and provides a sense of community. Now, did you know some famous knitters include Vanna White, Meryl Streep, Demi Lovato, Russell Crowe, yes, men do this too, and some royalty here, Kate Middleton.
Friends, people that, you know, in the beginning you met them, and then years later they're like some of your best friends. And everybody helps everybody else out. You know, if you have a problem with your project or a question, there's always somebody willing to help.
I can attest to that. The owner of Behind the Pines opened the store about 4 years ago. She also teaches classes in the fall, and she has her own dye studio. So we were glad to visit there. Now, of course, we want to see what you're working on. Again, we want to share these great photos on the Knit Along. So send those to me or Diane. You can find us on Facebook. I'm Amanda Faye, anchor reporter, and she is meteorologist Diane Phillips on Facebook. So send us your pictures or comment on any of the Knit Along posts that we have on our pages. We want to see what you're working on. Well, since we started Amanda and Diane's Knit Along, it's amazing how you, our viewers, have connected with us. We've had so much fun with this. Even though some of you don't knit, you are engaged and you might be taking up the hobby as well. Now, some of you have sent us some amazing photos, projects, and most recently, historical finds. This is really cool. Diane Phillips has the story of knitting for victory.
History does continue.
A few weeks ago, I received a note from a viewer which had an American Red Cross knitting pattern for a men's sleeveless V-neck sweater. After reading over the pattern,
There are very specific instructions here on how these are supposed to be made.
I realized this pattern was more than a men's sweater, but a piece of history from World War II. Rachel Hebner-Zawadny with the local American Red Cross chapter said there were patterns for socks, vests, sweaters, and surgical wraps.
There were 8 million women that were recruited throughout the various chapters in the nation, as well as junior Red Crossers, to actually take on this task to make these items.
These volunteers were a part of the production corps that made over 63 million garments for civilians and the military.
Every volunteer was given a kit, given the materials, and then given, I would say, a goal, like these are how many that you need to make.
Each project pattern had to be followed straight to the end.
There are strict instructions to send everything unused back to the chapter, so waste not, want not.
The completed garments, which were only made in navy blue or olive green wool yarn, would be distributed in comfort kits, which are still a part of the American Red Cross today.
While we don't have an actual production corps, there are still those groups out there that know the history of the production corps and still want to make handmade items for the Red Cross.
But then I'm kind of like, oh, what am I going to do?
And that was Diane Phillips with that story. It was so incredible that she received that letter in the mail, and we were looking at it going, this is really cool. We want to learn more about this. So there are no longer knit kits from the American Red Cross, but they do have the World War II knitting patterns available on redcross.org under the History tab if you want to check that out. And Diane will be back with us next week.